welcome. Tirannwn needs a little bit of help. Let's talk about it. What have we got shop-wise? Well, it probably won't surprise you. All of the good shops are in Prifddinas. So we've got a ruin shop, pretty good ruin shop, get some cosmic ruins in there. You've got like an armor shop, and while most of the pieces will already be available in the starting area, you can pick up a ruin full helm, which is kind of neat. Spoiler, I don't know if I would take Tirannwn as the first region. Just throwing that out there, but I guess if you happen to, you got that available to you. You've got a farming shop. You've got a slightly better ranged shop as well. Sells ruin arrows as well as going up to a U short, U longbow. Got a weapon shop. Get yourself the dragon halberd as well as a ruin scimitar again if you happen to pick this up early. I don't know that I would, but if you do. Got a pretty good cooking shop, a pickaxe shop, so you get yourself a ruin pickaxe, and then a gem shop which sells up to cut rubies. So in terms of the shops, it's actually like a pretty nice spread, especially if you're coming in early, because you will have access to Prifddinas as soon as you take Tirannwn, so you're not gonna have to wait for that. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Skilling options, you have got a plethora of different types of trees. It actually has maple trees, yew trees, magic trees, the hardwood trees. So if you want a place for wood cutting, this one is looking pretty good. Fishing and cooking side, you've got a couple of shark, lobster spots, as well as the sacred eels that are down near Zulrah. Those are actually a pretty decent alternative, since if you're taking this area, you're gonna need the Zulrah scales anyway. You can relatively AFK catch those eels and then use a knife on them, turn them to Zulrah scales, get a little bit of cooking XP. I did this in the one league where I did end up taking Tirannwn, and I enjoyed it. I don't know. I mean, you're competing with Quran blinds in the starter area, so I'm not sure it's that good, but it is nice to be able to pick up Zulrah scales just kind of passively. Gonna be getting access to the Death Altar, Death Ruins, help you a little bit with rune crafting. Probably one of the larger things in the area is gonna be pickpocketing elves, especially if they do something like Trickster this year, where can't fail, auto pickpocket. I know this was a really popular one last year. Just good GP, XP, pet chance, whatever. Right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes from these guys. In the hunter department, this is the only other area where you're gonna pick up red chins. Little bit unfortunate, this and Kandarin get access to red chins, but they kind of lack in other areas, and I know I keep saying that. we're gonna get to it, I promise. You are also gonna be picking up crystal implings, so there are gonna be a couple of tasks associated to things that this drops. Mining and smithing side, I guess you could also probably say crafting to some extent. You're getting the mine that's in Prifddinas. There's also some rocks that are just kind of out there in the swamp areas of Tirannwn, but especially with the Prifddinas mine, you get, I want to say it's 4 ruinite rocks, so you actually are picking up quite a few. You're also going to be getting a lot of adamant down there, and they also have the soft clay rocks. So I think there are better crafting options in general, but again, if you were crazy enough to take this area first, I mean, I guess it's something, you know, you can make some pottery or something like that. Farming wise, you're picking up some allotment patches, an extra fruit tree patch, as well as a crystal tree patch, so just a little bit more for you to do here. And last but not least, there is the Elven agility course. Maybe it should be least. I don't think this one's gonna be that important. Another way for you to get crystal shards, it's really about it. I think there was a task associated with completing that course in a certain amount of time, so, you know, you might get some points there. Mobs and activities, oh my, whoa. Oh, I am so sorry. This is a family-friendly channel. I don't know how that booty belt got there. Let me just cover that up. Perfect. All right. Thank you, YouTube algorithm. Go ahead and press that subscribe button. Mobs and activities. You know, there's not a lot here. I had to make all of these very large to take up the entire slide because you get like a little Slayer cave kind of thing in the Elven City, so you do pick up some Slayer monsters. Kind of interesting that you get access to Karasks, so you're going to be able to pick up a leaf-bladed battle axe here. This is the only region that you can get Dark Beasts. They used to be in the Catacombs of Karen, but they ended up moving those, so if you want a Dark Bow, you have to take Tirannwn in order to pick that up. You are also going to be getting access to Necreals, so you'll be able to pick up some Ruined Boots. Not the best in slot boots by any means, but some of the areas don't have boot upgrades, so, you know, if you're really pressed for it, I guess. I don't think you're taking this region for melee, though. So all in all, you're gonna have a pretty decent chance at getting superiors. So it's not the worst, like, Slayer region. You are also gonna get access to the upgraded crystal chest, which, I mean, it's just like the crystal chest in Asgarnia, except a little bit better. You can also get some Fashionscape with the Dragonstone armor. I think there is normally a task associated with at least getting one piece of that, so maybe not have to worry about the whole set, but it is definitely nice to have, you know, since you're gonna slowly be picking up crystal keys anyway throughout the league. Man, are we burning through this? Like, how much time is this? Can you tell there's like no content here? Oh my goodness, we're already on the bosses, dude. Oh, bosses. All right, let's be real. If you're picking Tirannwn, there's only 2 bosses that you really care about, and that is going to be the Gauntlet, Corrupted Gauntlet, as well as Zulrah, because that's where all of the important drops really are. You're going to be sticking it out in the Red Prison for like 100, 200 KC probably, maybe 300 KC depending on your luck, just so you can get yourself full crystal armor, Bofa, Salad Blade, all that good stuff. There's also Zulrah giving you access to the Serpentine Visage, the Blowpipe. Really, it's the Blowpipe. There's also the Magic Fang. That one kind of sucks, but we'll talk about that in the gear breakdown. So boss-wise, I mean, both of these are going to be good for supplies, and you're going to be spending time at both of these. I guess one nice little thing of picking up Zulrah is you get access to Anti-Venom, which means if you have either the Fremnik area or Varlamore, you're going to be able to upgrade the pool in your house to max level. So, I mean, that is a nice perk. A little unfortunate that it's locked to Tirannwn, but, you know, if this is an area that you already want to pick, you can use that. Oh man, imagine a world where you go Tirannwn and Fremnik. Oh, that sounds like trash, dude. Other bosses you've got Volcano, mining boss. You can't really do anything with like the crystal tool seed drop, but he does give you some ores and things. So I mean, if you didn't want to use the Tirannwn mine and kind of like get stuff there, you can. And then there's also the like rabbit bunny boss. Now in truth, when I look at this spread, they're not gonna make the Corrupted Gauntlet an Echo boss. Like there's just no way. In that same vein, I don't think they're gonna make Volcano an Echo boss either. So that leaves you with either Zulrah or the bunny rabbit. And okay, in truth, I think Zulrah's probably more likely. I mean, there is the Blowpipe. People probably want to get access to that early, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. So I think the non-troll pick is Zulrah, but whatever, you know, I think it would be hilarious if they made the rabbit boss like an Echo boss. It doesn't really have a drop of its own. I mean, you can get this like cosmetic grail thing, but can you imagine they like an Echo version and it's like an actual boss fight, has like some sort of unique drop and things? I think that'd be pretty fun. I don't know, maybe that's just me. So with the plethora of content, what does that look like gear wise? This is the melee page. You are not taking Tirannwn for a full gear setup in the melee combat style. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. That doesn't make it useless. It is an okay support region for melee. You know, early on you'll be able to pick up things like the Dragon Halberd, the Crystal Shield, the Leaf-Bladed Battle Axe, maybe some Ruin Boots as well, stretching it a little bit for the early game because of that Slayer requirement, but they are there. And then as you get a little bit farther into the region, you know, you'll pick up the Serpentine Visage, pretty good strength bonus helmet, the Blade of Salador, best in slot single hand slash. You'll also be picking up a Crystal Halberd, which is a good spec weapon in certain situations, so it's not going to be totally useless or anything like that. And you are also getting access to Divine Potions, so Divine Super Combats. Again, that's one of those where it's a nice to have. I wouldn't necessarily pick this region for anything here, but if you do happen to have it, I mean, you know, Divine Potions are good, keeping your boost all the way capped out, getting yourself access to this helm to kind of like venom things that aren't immune to that. The Blade of Salador, I mean, it's a good slash weapon, but the real reason that you're picking this region is for the ranged setup. Now, historically, full crystal armor with the Bofa has not been considered best in slot. Last leagues, it was outclassed by crossbows because there was a boost to bolt specials. Similarly, you know, with the Blowpipe, because it has such low accuracy, like it's good. You know, if they do something like having the attack speed, you get machine gun Blowpipe, one tick Blowpipe, like it is fun, but also it's kind of hard to use because like for a lot of content, you can't just stand there and like Blowpipe things down. Kind of hard to get a lot of use out of this, but if you are picking this region, maybe you just really like the Bofa or you really like Corrupted Gauntlet, it is still a very good setup. It's going to be a very good setup. It may not be the tippity top, but you're not going to have any trouble going through any of the bosses in the game that you can use ranged on. I also think the Dark Bow is a pretty fun special attack weapon. Might get some cool uses out of that as well. Plus, you're getting access again to those Divine Potions, so you get a Divine Ranging Potion. You end up pairing this with something like Mauritania, you can get the Divine Bastion Potion. So all in all, I mean, for range, that's really the strength of this region. You're not picking it for anything else. It's strictly for that Corrupted Gauntlet setup. Now, you don't even really get a mage tab in this region. There isn't really mage gear, all right? Yes, you get good access to superior Slayer creatures, so like you'll probably pick up an Imbued Heart, but the Magic Fang by itself, you can't even do anything with it. Like, you have to go Kandarin if you want to combine it with the Trident, or you have to go Asgarnia if you want to combine it with the Staff of the Dead. So it's it's useless, all right? You're not getting any real benefit if you're a mage build taking Tirannwn. Again, you're only taking it for range. But since we have the space here, crystal tools, if you want to pick them up, you'll get this drop from Volcano, and then you have to have the dragon equivalent of each of these in order to kind of like combine those together. So I've listed out the regions here. This is an either or type of thing. You don't have to get both. So it's not like to get a dragon spear, you have to have Kourend and the desert. It's Kourend if you want access to it through worms via Slayer, or the desert, you can pick it up through Temperos. So either of those would give you this option, and kind of the same deal with all of these. If you have one of these regions, you'll have access to that crystal tool. Are any of the combinations of Tirannwn plus some of this stuff good? I don't know, man. I don't know. Tirannwn's looking sad, dude. Tirannwn needs some help, that's for sure. To go back quickly to the bosses, I think one thing that could potentially help Tirannwn a little bit, not so much with Mage, but if the Echo boss drops like either a ring or a necklace that allows the crystal armor to also boost the Blade of Salador, I think that would be pretty cool, because it's what, like plus 20% accuracy, 15% damage, something like that for the Bofa setup. So imagine if you could get that same sort of benefit, maybe even some additional strength bonus for the Blade of Salador. Mage is still going to be really sad, but at least in that way, you've got a pretty solid range setup as well as a pretty solid melee setup. But I digress. If you want the crystal tools, those are the areas that you need. In terms of the task breakdown, and this is where I really say like Tirannwn is an end game area. Prifddinas is an end game area. Okay, maybe you say like mid game, but you get what I mean. Like you're not going out there as a new account. It's not gonna be a good time. And you can see this reflected in the task breakdown from last year with 9 easy, 9 medium, 28 hard, 26 elite, 4 master. So it's very much weighted towards the bottom half of that. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that this area is going to be bad to take first, because certainly relic combinations can make some of these things easier. So going back to the pickpocketing example, you'd be able to pickpocket elves without failure as soon as you get the level for it. So like this region, you'd be able to pick up some points there. There were a lot of shops. So if you had Fire Sale, which made anything in a GP shop free, well, Prifddinas has a lot of shops, so you could pick up a lot of tasks related to that. So it wasn't exactly the end of the world if you took this one first, but you do have to be a little bit careful and make sure that the relics that you pick line up with this one. Otherwise, if you really want to go this region, probably take it like second or third. Now, in terms of the big tasks, they're mostly going to be focused around the couple of bosses that you have, as well as, some of the new like skilling areas that are unlocked. So you get things like Gauntlet and Zora KC, as well as the combat achievements, the Corrupted Gauntlet KC as well, all of the rare equipment. So you've got like a Crystal Crown, which is a shop item, an Elven Signet, which comes from the Crystal Implings, any of the Zora drops, any of the CG drops, the Dragonstone armor from the Crystal Chest. Basically, any of the rare drops in this area, it's going to be a task because there's just not that much to do. This area also sported a lot of skilling tasks. So this was things like mining 200 Runite, dissecting 50 sacred eels from that fishing spot near Zora, 300 red chins, 100 divine ranging potions, 50 divine super combats, anything like that. So again, even though Leagues is very fast, I think if you're taking this one early, it's going to slow you down a little bit. So probably don't do that. But in either case, right now, a pretty weak region, I think, compared to any of the other ones. Even when compared to something like Fremnik or the Wilderness, I think Tirannwn, it really struggles, and especially because the best range setup here, it doesn't really like tie in with anything else. Like you have to use the full crystal setup with the Bofa in order to get that benefit, so you can't even go into like the desert and get yourself some Masoris, because then you're losing the whole point of the Bofa. You know what I mean? So it ends up being a little bit awkward to try and like fit in with other combinations. Not that people won't do it, but it's just, I think it's gonna feel worse than some of the other regions out there. But anyway, that's all I've got for you. Man, this one was quick, huh? Subscribe if you want to see more Leagues content. I've got tons of videos planned. I'm gonna be covering all of the information leaks as they come out. I think that'll be starting here in the next week or two. I've got my Discord linked in the description down below if you want to join that. And I will be streaming at the start of the League. The League is gonna start on the 27th. We still don't know the exact start time, but I'll be starting in the morning, 9 a.m. Central, just kind of talking strategy, all that kind of stuff. And when the game mode starts, we'll just switch over to that. So with that, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.